Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We watched episode 1 of The White Lotus, season 3. This episode is called Same Spirits, New Forms.
Mm-hmm.
Belinda settles in. Chelsea deals with a moody Rick. The Ratliffs go their separate ways. Kate, Laurie, and Jaclyn kick off a girls' trip. Why are we doing this? Because you wanted to watch it. Why?
Parker Posey.
I only agreed because of Parker Posey.
Yes, Parker.
I didn't. We watched seasons 1 and 2.
I really liked season 2.
And I recall enjoying them well enough.
With Jennifer Coolidge and Aubrey Plaza, season 2 was pretty good.
Yeah. But I think that the title of this episode sums up how I feel.
Yeah.
Same shit, different cast.
And in a different place.
In a different location.
Yep.
But this one starts off with a young man meditating in a spa in Thailand, which is where this season is set. And we see gunfire and a dead body floating in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then we rewind to 1 week earlier when everyone arrives. So I guess we can go based on the premise I read. So Belinda is played by Natasha Rothwell.
She is she's one of 2 recurring characters. Yep.
I don't know why I was thinking Natalie, but she has been like transferred to this location to do some training for 3 months.
A work exchange.
Like a work exchange program. So she's excited. We remember she has a son and the son is finishing some finals and then he'll join her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next we have Chelsea dealing with a moody Rick. So Rick is played by the great Walton Goggins.
Mm-hmm. The great.
I like Walton.
He's okay.
But
and Chelsea's played by Amy Lou Wood.
Are you familiar with her?
Yeah, I have seen her in something. She's in that movie with Bill Nighy that was nominated for an Oscar in Living.
Oh.
And I've also seen her in The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. Mm-hmm.
So they just seem like an odd couple, but taking a tangent for a second, the owner of this wellness retreat, her name is
Sritala Hollinger, played by Patravadi.
And we find out that her husband is a famous like white American man.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like immediately Walton Goggins is very disappointed that he's not there. We're told that he had like a medical incident and had to check into a hospital, was released, and now he's actually back in Bangkok.
Mm-hmm. And one night in Bangkok makes a hard man tumble. Is that the song? Is that the lyric?
That sounds about right.
One night in Bangkok.
Okay, the Ratliffs. So this is a big crew. It's Parker Posey.
Mm-hmm.
And she's married to Jason Isaacs.
Yes.
And they've come with their 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Nivola, son of
Alessandro.
Patrick Schwarzenegger, son of Maria Shriver. And who's the third?
The young lady whose name is
Sarah Catherine Hook.
Yes, Piper. Here's their character.
Do you know Sarah Catherine Cook?
No, but she looks a lot like Kaylee Spaney to me.
Her MDB picture's pretty.
Yeah, she's beautiful, but no.
So, every episode has to have some, like a garbage, or every season has to have a garbage family, and this is the garbage family.
Parker is my favorite part thus far, of course. And
by far, she's the best part. She's like this boozy Southern woman who's just thinks that her family is the best ever, when clearly they are a trade wreck.
Uh-huh.
So the husband, Jason Isaacs, I'm not quite sure what he does for work, but
a financier,
but clearly makes money.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that someone from the Wall Street Journal is trying to call him to get some information. Like clearly he's if not involved, like adjacent to some sort of scandal.
Yes.
So that's happening. Parker is just this, sedated woman.
Parker's having jet lag issues. That's about where we are with her.
Sam Nivola has a decision to make. He's kind of like the
plaything of his siblings,
of his older brother and his sister, but he has to choose which college he wants to go to, and it seems like he feels like he has no agency.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter, Piper, the reason they're even on this trip is because she's studying like
her thesis is on Buddhism,
is so she wants to interview a Buddhist who is at a temple nearby.
Some notable monk, yeah.
And so that's why they're there. And Patrick Schwarzenegger is just this super douchey guy who seems fixated on sex, fixated on his little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, from social media, I knew, and from that video I posted of Chris Pratt talking about looking at his brother-in-law's dick, bro. I knew that there was some sexual stuff with him, and also people were talking about like gay incest.
Mm-hmm.
So in this episode, I'm assuming it's between Patrick Schwarzenegger and Sam Nivola.
Saxon and Lochlan.
And Piper. Like, okay, nothing screams money like those names. Okay, and then Laurie and Jaclyn and Kate kick off a girls' trip. So this trio, which is comprised of Carrie Coon, Leslie Bibb,
yes,
and Michelle Moynihan.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle Moynihan is like this famous TV personality.
Jaclyn Lemon.
It's not quite clear to me what she does, but she's famous.
She's on TV.
Yeah. She's on TV. And her two best friends from like when they were little kids, they went to school together, high school, and then they sort of like fell apart as their lives evolved.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're back for this. They're not called. One of them says, my husband thinks we're on a midlife crisis trip, but she says it's a victory tour.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very clear that there are some jealousy issues.
Oh, yes.
Because immediately when they settle in, it's like, oh my God, Michelle, you look like you haven't aged a bit. And oh my God, Leslie, you look great. No, you look great. Who's your doctor? I'm not going to tell. And then poor Carrie Coon's in the background, like chopped liver.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly she hasn't done as well as her friends because, of course, Michelle Moynihan is rich and famous, and Leslie Bibb is married to a rich man.
Yeah.
And she's like a socialite, it would seem, like a big deal in their community.
In Texas.
Mm-hmm. But then Carrie Coon,
she's a corporate lawyer.
They tell her, you're doing the hard things. Good for you.
Yeah, all that corporate world, ooh, tough. And your daughter, she's growing up to be a real cool girl.
Okay, I'm just going to start going through my notes and then we can, what did you think of the theme music? Because I know previous seasons, the theme music was like a big deal.
Well, season 2 theme music, I have a remix of that I still listen to.
It's good.
I feel, and it's
a lot to live up to.
It's the same composer, and I like it. I like the vibe of it, but I'm gonna need a remix.
Yeah, it's a slow build because when it kind of starts to pick up, it's like all done, intro over.
Yeah, I maybe by episode 4 or 5, I'll feel more tender towards
okay,
it.
My first impression of the show is boring. But
yeah, it is
beautifully shot,
sleepy.
But I think Thailand's beautiful, so
yes,
probably you'd have to try hard to f that up. But and yeah, so far the only interest to me is Parker Posey because she's fun. You know, it's. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's intriguing about Patrick Schwarzenegger and his brother, but
not really.
Actually, the most intriguing plot point for me is I want to know why Walton Goggins wants to meet Sritala's husband.
Yes.
But let's start with her because just like the previous seasons, we see all the guests arriving and then the staff of the hotel waiting to greet them. But we see that the hotel manager, who you recognized.
Oh, from the Zone of Interest.
He's the main Nazi, right?
Yeah, yes.
I didn't recognize him.
Well, he looks friendly in this. So.
Yeah, of course. But we see that Sritala,
Christian Friedel, Fabian.
Yeah, she has like a full glam squad on the beach with like her vanity, and they're getting her ready. And she's like, "I'm not ready. You need to tell the boat driver to cruise around the bay." Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I don't think these people give a damn about you.
No,
but I thought that. Because we also see Walton Goggins looking at photos of Sritala and her husband. And so just making predictions because it's season 1. I am kind of getting the vibe that...
episode 1.
Is Sritala trans and is the husband like hiding out? Because we also see the husband has security. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if they started this whole wellness thing and this whole idea of him being sick and going away as a way to like... Although she does say I was a famous singer or actress, But I don't know. What if that lady died and then
Yeah, I don't know. There's some kind of intrigue there.
I'm hoping that this character is interesting in that way, like
Mhm.
that she's pretending to be someone else.
Mhm.
Okay. The opening scene is this very handsome young man meditating named Zion.
Zion by the rivers of Babylon.
And the woman who's helping him meditate is like, just focus, close your eyes, but he can't because he hears gunshots. And finally he's like, ma'am, I think we need to stop because there are gunshots.
Mhm.
And then everyone's running and screaming. And that lady just leaves his ass.
There's a movie, I think it's set in Thailand with Owen Wilson and Lake Bell called No Escape, where they're at a resort like this and they're in a hostage situation. It's actually a very good B movie, but also, if I remember correctly, also Thailand.
But the only interesting part of the opening, because of course Zion is like, but my mom is here and she's out there. And he's like wading in the water. And then he is scared and comes across a statue of Buddha. And I thought it was funny, like he's praying to Buddha in Jesus's name.
Yes.
That was the only fun part of that. And then we see a body float by, and then immediately we get 1 week earlier
Mhm.
and the guests arriving. Okay, already on the boat there's tension because Walton Goggins is smoking a cigarette,
And Patrick Schwarzenegger does not like it.
the Ratliffs do not like that, so they kind of already butt heads. But when Walton gets off that boat, he looks like, you know how they would put people in sweat boxes to torture them?
Yeah,
That's how Walton Goggins does.
he looks like he's not doing well. Yeah.
I thought that the dad, what's his name, Jason Isaacs,
Mhm.
I thought he looked like if you mixed John Hamm and Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Jason Isaacs has been around forever. You've seen him in many things, actually, including Abduction, starring Taylor Lautner.
People are so bothered by nepotism, which I have my thoughts about, which I won't get into. But I will say, like, Patrick Schwarzenegger is the perfect, like, rich, douchey son. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
he plays it perfectly. But
also this incest theme. Mike White, the creator showrunner, I mean, this is bringing it back to his. I don't know if you ever saw this indie film that I actually quite like called Chuck and Buck. It was reminding me of Chuck and Buck.
oh,
Anyway,
I might have to look that up, or I will look that up. But the Ratliffs, they show up to this wellness retreat and they have no idea where they're going. So they think they're just going to relax, like at the Ritz-Carlton. And the poor concierge who's assigned to them is trying to explain, like, this is a wellness retreat. We have all these activities. You can't have your phone. We eat this. We do this.
so I'm going to take your biometrics test tomorrow, and Parker looks terrified.
She freaks out. She goes, I don't want to take a test.
Is that a hard test?
Is it hard? I mean, I have jet lag. I don't know that I could. It's like it's a wellness test, honey. But this family is annoying as hell.
Mhm.
Okay. This is when we also realize that Walton wants to, like, he's really upset that the husband of Sritala is not available.
Mhm.
So then, of course, that makes you think, well, what does he want to know with her? But there's a funny moment when, what is Walton Goggins' girlfriend's name?
Chelsea.
Chelsea has an interesting smile.
She looks like Helena Bonham Carter with Beatrice Dahl dentitia.
Or Adele Given's teeth.
Oh, Adele, yeah.
But she's trying to, because Walton is like really not feeling any of this. And she goes, you should get a facial. And he's all fussy about it. And she tells him, like, well, people think you're my dad or something. Like,
Yeah.
you're looking old.
He's going to need more than a facial.
Well, I thought, bitch, I'll get a facial when you get some Invisalign. Like,
Well, and there's a bald comment on here, but actually he probably it would serve Walton to cut the hair off.
Yeah, probably. Well, let's get to that because we also find out. So another character makes a return.
Mm-hmm.
His name is
Gary or Greg,
played by
John Grease, who back from Martin days.
That's right. He was the radio engineer on Martin's radio show. But in season 2, he was Jennifer Coolidge's.
Seasons 1 and 2.
1 and 2, her little
right.
Well, was he her husband or just her little man?
They got married, I believe.
Oh, okay. Anyway, of course, Jennifer Coolidge was dispatched, spoiler, in last season's
denouement.
But so now he's with another lady we recognize.
Charlotte Le Bon, who's a French Canadian. who's a director, actor. I've seen her in many things, including the film Fresh. She was Sebastian Stan's cannibal assistant girlfriend.
Oh,
With that,
okay.
she had that terrible blonde hair. She kind of looks like a very thin, very French Winona Ryder to me.
Oh, yep, I could see that. Anyway, now she's with John Grease.
Mm-hmm.
And she sort of makes a connection with Chelsea. But anyway, they bring up because
She's like, there's a lot of bald guys in Thailand.
well, yeah, she goes, there are a lot of bald white guys in
Yes.
Thailand, and the locals call them LBHs, which means losers back home.
Well,
like, damn,
I
bird.
mean,
But then we pan to like the restaurant, and there are like older, plain bald white men.
yep.
Which I thought was funny. There's a character who we meet named Mook, this really beautiful lady who's like a local who works in the hotel.
Played by Lalisa Manobal. Yep.
We get an interesting scene where she's talking to another hotel employee named Gitak.
Yeah, played by Time Tapithmathong. He's a security guard.
And she's kind of shitting on him because she clearly is lusting after the like security for.
She thinks they make better money. Yeah.
Yeah, like her persona in front of the guest is like, hospitality, oh, thank you, so kind and gentle. But then when she's talking to Gay Talk, she's like about her money and like she don't F with no men who are broke. And she kind of is making fun of his job, like, well, those guys, they get to travel. And he's like, I make good money. I like my job. I helped save someone who was drowning in the pool. She goes, yeah, that was 3 years ago.
But he's like, he still writes to me.
So I'm making a prediction about her that she's probably going to be involved in like some sort of like theft or something. As I'm looking at Patrick Schwarzenegger, he is a handsome man, like, but I kept thinking, oh, Elon Musk wishes he looked like that.
Isn't that sad? All the money in the world and still just ugly.
Yeah. Then, so when Chelsea and Walton Goggins are sitting for dinner, the server comes and pours her like a pour of wine to taste it, before they pour a full glass. And that poor lady kind of goes like, I hate to complain, but this is just not enough. And Walton looks at her like, bitch, she wants you to taste it. But then I felt like, oh, the first time someone did that for me, I was confused.
You're like, what? Okay.
But okay, Berlinder.
I like Natasha.
I like her, but this character is just a little too like
hokey. Well, okay, so she gets really excited because she sees two other black people there that aren't like part of the staff.
One of them, the woman, to me looked exactly like if you mixed the opera singer Jesse Norman with Ms. Netta.
Oh God, not Ms. Netta.
Yes.
Oh my God, I don't think I got to look at her long enough to catch Ms. Netta. But
yeah,
okay.
It was giving Jesse Norman x Ms. Netta.
But then Natasha. Of course, there's a ton of like wildlife that's kind of creepy. Like there's these monkeys and monitor lizards. But Natasha, they're making her kind of go in on stereotypes a little bit.
I was going to say, I'm not quite sure how I want to word it, but I think the writing of this character bothers me a little bit because they just have her, they just write her like she's just so grateful, and then they make her a bit of a caricature.
Well, because no, there's not going to be any snakes falling in my hair today, but it's like, bitch, you worked in Hawaii. Like there are things, well, right? Yeah, there are things in Hawaii that got creepy crawlies. Like, come on now.
I don't know. I was not impressed with this character. Like
that seemed like a really broad way to get a chuckle about her behavior. And I think that
I don't know. To me, she's written like if she were the maid in Gone with the Wind, except she got to be funny.
So she's like modern Mammy.
Kind of. I mean, I'm not really feeling it, but it's episode 1.
It's episode 1, so we'll see where it goes because I'd imagine the details we're getting about her are going to come into play.
Well, what are those details?
Well, just that,
the only thing we know about her is that she's on a training program and her son's coming.
Yeah, but the things that she's pointed out that are her characters giving voice to, I'd imagine that's going to be a theme, much like the local tree that has fruit with poison seeds. Like I think the Ponga tree or whatever. Like I think I'm assuming those things will come back. I don't know.
yeah, there's a tree that yields poisonous fruit, and Patrick Schwarzenegger's like, oh, like, could you kill someone with these? It's like, if they actually use that tree to kill someone, I'm gonna be so annoyed.
Like William Blake's A Poison Tree.
But I'm gonna end with what everyone was talking about, which is the whole incest stuff. So the relationship that Patrick Schwarzenegger has with Sam Nivola is like older brother who's like just very much like, you got to get pussy and money, like that's all you need. And he's talking to him like he's one of his like
Bras.
douchey bras.
Yeah.
But where it really gets uncomfortable is at the end of the episode, because they're both sharing a room, which when they were trying to figure out who's sharing rooms, Patrick was very insistent that he share with his brother.
He was adamant about it, yes.
So you already know, like, that's kind of weird. Although...
Well, and then he's like, well, how am I going to jerk off the whole time we're here while you're in the room with me? It's like, you asked me to be in this room. So, clearly...
Well,
an agenda.
So they're in the room together, and they're in like, beds next to each other. And Patrick's asking his brother, like, what kind of porn do you like? Well, how am I going to masturbate if you're here? Well, I guess I'll just go in the bathroom. So he goes into the bathroom naked, but like still in easy view of his brother, but he knows that he is.
Yes, because they're looking at each other through the mirror.
And the brother is obviously very intrigued. And then when Patrick notices his brother looking at him, then he kind of closes the door.
So yes.
But yeah, I mean, whatever. I can see why people find it salacious, but
it is, but that seems like a really like there's absolutely nothing else in this episode that is, I don't know, that just seems like a really tawdry kind of like cliffhanger, like, and I really don't care. But
I think they need Shonda Rhimes on this script too, because she's so good at like when you end the episode, it's like we're hitting next, because I need to know what's happening. This one right here, episode 1, child, we could be done.
And again, like there's groundwork, we have to be introduced to all the characters, but it's just it feels really meager so far. So I don't know, but I will continue to watch for Ms. Parker Posey.
Yes. So we'll see you all for episode 2. Ta-ta.